Prim-and-Proper, he said, standing behind his desk, his eyes narrowing as he looked her over, not in concern, but in annoyance. We do not have time for excessive behaviour. That we didn't really include her. It was the royal we, and a reminder that she was here not as anything close to an equal, but because she, the local publican's daughter, was the Earl's secretary. Something in his tone rattled her out of her lung-locked misery, and the breath she'd been holding whooshed from her lungs. No, sir, of course not. She clasped her hands tight in front of her, not allowing any other outward appearance of uncertainty or nerves to show through. It must have been enough, because the Earl dropped his gaze down to the sheet of paper in his hand. Your actions are governed by the non-disclosure agreement you signed upon employment. Discretion is required. She nodded. Yes, sir. What I am about to tell you cannot go beyond this room. Perhaps she wasn't about to get the boot. If she was, would he be telling her anything that was covered by the NDA? Doubtful. I understand, sir. The Earl didn't say anything for a moment. Instead he turned and gazed out the window toward the North York moors, the purple heather adding colour to its normal green. I've received a diagnosis. Early-stage dementia, he said, his words clipped. Brooke had only been at Dallinger Park for a short time, but she'd noticed that the Earl seemed to grow more agitated as the day wore on, often repeated stories, and became frustrated when he couldn't remember details. She opened her mouth to offer her sympathies, but the Earl waved off her attempt with a brusque flick of his hand. I only tell you this to impart the importance of what I should tell you next, and not because I want to discuss my condition with you, or have it discussed by you, he said. My solicitor is drawing up the papers for my heir to take over. Your heir? There hadn't been another Vane at Dallinger Park since the Earl's son had died, leaving the Earl as the last of his family. There hadn't even been whispers in Beauhaven of anyone else, and since she'd grown up above the pub, the central gathering place in the village, she would have heard something. He's utterly unsuitable, but there is no choice. The Earl continued as if they were discussing the weather. Still, one must submit to one's duty. In my case, that means making this man my heir. In your case, it means ensuring he fulfills his duty. In a conversation filled with brain-stoppers, that one jolted her. Me? Yes, Miss Chapman-Powell, the Earl said, turning his full attention to her, narrowing his gaze so that she was all but pinned to the spot like one of the butterflies in the display cases on the wall behind him. And if you fail, the results will be dire. Without an heir, the title Earl of Englefields dies with me. The estate will be auctioned off to the highest bidder, and the McVie University for the Deaf will lose its sole benefactor, as will the village of Beauhaven. I presume you are up to the task at hand. Her stomach twisted and her shoulders bent down as if a 3-stone yoke had been placed around her neck. The last thing Beauhaven could take was another blow to the local economy. And McVie? Without the funding from the estate, her sister's school wouldn't be able to continue. I'll try my best, sir. That will only be acceptable if you are successful. There is no margin for error. This is my grandson we are speaking of, and I want— The words died off as something that looked akin to hope and fear, and maybe this could work, gleamed in his eyes for a heartbeat, before disappearing. He slid the piece of paper he'd been holding into a folder and handed it to her. The investigator's initial report. Brooke flipped it open and scanned the paper on top, one detail jumping out and making her pulse tick up. He's American. The Earl looked back out at the moors. One of many unfortunate realities about Nicholas Vane. He's legitimate, but only just. He has refused to speak to the investigator. He earns his living as an inventor, but according to that report he spends most of his days lounging about. He has no sense of propriety. Her stomach sank. And how would you like me to approach him? The how is not my concern, the Earl said, somehow managing to make his upper-crust accent sound both dismissive and threatening. The only thing that matters is that you ensure my heir is at Dallinger Park and prepare to be the next Earl of Englefield within a month. According to the solicitor, we need to have this entire unsavoury process completed as quickly as possible in order to ensure I am able to testify in court about the validity of his parentage, if it is challenged in court. Should that happen after I have— The Earl paused, his gaze turning back to the moors as if there was a better future out there than the one he faced inside Dallinger Park. Progressed.